All right, we just listened to the Wise Man's Fear's new album, Atlas Ruinica, just a couple of minutes ago. So now we're going to give you our initial review. We're going to tell you our thoughts on it, give you some breakdowns of it, and then we're going to have a little deeper discussion with my co-host Jordan over here, and then give you our ratings and let you know what we think about it. So, all right, so I think this is the first full album that I've listened to this band. I am semi-familiar with them. I've definitely heard some of their tracks before. It is... a lot of their stuff is very D&D based, so there's a lot of lore in here. It is basically concept. It's a concept album. It is a concept album. First and foremost, I want to give this band huge props for, one, going out of their way to have either lyric videos. They have also music videos. So they have music videos and lyric videos for everyone. I think that's really cool. It's something that I love. Just as a listener and also as a reviewer, it helps out, especially when you have the lyrics on the screen. It's massive. I don't have to go out of my way to find the lyrics. They also have the lyrics in the description as well. So they really put it out there for you. And a lot of bands gloss over that. They'll just, lyrics, whatever. Who cares? So huge props to them for that. And also huge props for B having, did I say A? Or did I say one? I don't know. Anyways, for B, having an entire lore breakdown on a website, track by track, explaining each song and how it fits in the concept of the album. That is also huge. Another thing that other bands also seem to gloss over. Some bands kind of do that. I think, what was the one band that we listened to, the new metalcore band that we saw with All That Remains? Tala has concept albums as well. They have a little video that explains a little bit of that. I do think that is cool, although they don't have their lyrics as readily available. I find that really weird. So seeing the difference between that and this, I think this is awesome. This is the perfect way to do a concept album. So huge props to them. Definitely get some bonus points for me for that. Anyways, let's talk about the actual music here. So I think this was really good. It does kind of remind me at times the generic core stuff, I Prevail style, that kind of thing. However, I do think there is a lot more to it here than that. So don't take that as a bad reference. I think it definitely expands on that sound. Actually, it is very accessible. As there's lots of really pretty cleans, really pretty moments, heavy moments as well. There's some pretty good balance here, but it definitely it's metalcore at heart. It's even like in their hashtag and stuff, but it also sends back. It reminds me a lot of like 2009 post-hardcore at times. There's definitely some big moments in here in this album that remind me of that, and so I think that is where it kind of expands. It has a little bit of that feel to it, and just makes it sound a lot bigger than other bands. On top of being a concept album and having that as well, so there's just a lot of layers to this that I really do appreciate, and there's layers all over. Vocal layers, there's all kinds of stuff going on, but it doesn't feel cluttered. It is very cohesive and does work together. I think it is really well, just really well written. This is some really well written stuff, so I really do like that. I do want to bitch at the band for a second, though. I do want to detract a little bit of a point. I noticed on their Spotify it has 10 tracks, all the songs. However, on their YouTube channel they have it's 11 tracks, but one of them's not a song. It's like a little teaser lead up clip of a it's like a, I don't know, it's a quote thing. It's like a 1 minute long of this dude talking. Why not leave that in the album? I think that was like a really cool thing. I really like shit like that. I think it was a really cool build up into the next song. Leave it in there. That was cool. I don't know why it was not on the full album, but it is on your YouTube playlist, because I thought that was really cool. So yeah, anyways, just a little note. So some other stuff about this. Again, vocals really great. There's lots of range here. Definitely lots of potential. And when I say potential, I do have one negative here. There is a couple of tracks on here specifically Where the Sky is Empty is the first track where you get a little bit. I think that's like the second track. It's they go into the breakdown and the dude has these pretty gnarly vocals. They do it again on one of the later tracks, Lorna Shorish, if you will, very deathcore. The negative about that is I think they should use that more. I think they should throw that into the pretty moments and not just use normal metalcore mids throughout the most of the majority of the album, because that is one positive thing that Lorna Shore has done. Is Lorna Shore has brought a lot more people to the idea of that style of vocals and having those wild vocals, and I think that bands should take advantage of that and mix it into other stuff, not try to sound like Lorna Shore, but rather take those Lorna Shore moments into the other stuff. Like I said, all of the pretty moments in here, and when they do the middle metalcore stuff, they could expand that and do some. I think having these huge synth and all these pretty guitars and shit, and having those gnarly vocals at the same time would be a massive thing. I think that would really expand the sound a lot more. So I wish they would have messed around with that a little more than just saving it for heavy moments. That's just me. I think it is some huge potential that could be reached with that. So it is a positive. Like I said, there is a lot of range here, but my favorite thing in music is balance. I like having mixtures of heavy and soft, and just finding ways to weave those together. And I think this band, there's potential for more here. So I really do like that, though. Other than that, I'll talk a little bit about the mix. I do have some negatives there too as well. The album does feel very vocally focused. It is, there's lots of, like I said, there's lots of layers of different vocals and clean singing, multiple singers, and a lot of stuff. But I do feel it kind of drowns out with the guitars. It kind of drowns out A, the synth, and B, the cymbals of the drums. Both of those in the synth really only has a couple moments where it really stands out. Otherwise, it's very much in the background, and I want to, I hear it back there, and I wish it was just a little bit louder. And I feel the same way with the cymbals, the drum cymbals. Like the snare was fine, the kick was fine, but the cymbals were very much lost for a lot of it. They were very just just some little, and that was it. And I was like, I could really, would really like to hear that. Just some nice little moments in there. They just felt kind of lost to me. But other than that, those are just my little. They're kind of nitpicks, because I do think this is really good music. I do really like this compared to, like I said, a lot of other stuff like I Prevail and other generic bands like that. This really does expand that sound, and I think they could really reach some heights if they just fine tune it some more. They've got they've got the lore, they've got the lyrics and the sound and the talent. They've got all of it. It's huge potential here. This is really good stuff. I think that's about all I have to say. So Jordan, what are you thinking about this album?
I really like this album. This is probably closer to my kind of cup of tea whenever it comes to like the more generic as a sound, not in like as a bad thing, but
Yeah, yeah.
generic kind of more pop focused bands that are more accessible and stuff. But I feel like this band has enough of the heavy and enough of like the really cool moments and really grand feeling that really kind of bumps it up, because if you are gonna have more of like the generic structures and stuff, you kind of need to find other ways to elevate your music and kind of put you above the other bands, so that you can kind of cut cut your way through it, whenever you listen to music on shuffle and stuff, you kind of want to have those moments and those elements in your band that can really stand out, and somebody can say, "Oh, I know exactly who this band is," as soon as they come on. And I feel like they've kind of got a little bit of that over a lot of the other bands, like you said, like I Prevail. I think this was kind of more of like a mix between that and kind of like you said, the kind of Rise Records kind of era of post-hardcore and metalcore. Especially because there's two steps, there's breakdowns. There's a panic core breakdown in one of the
Mm.
songs. Um, there is that synth, so it does have a lot of those different elements of, kind of older core, and definitely it comes across in the music as well. A lot of the guitar riffs, there's kind of, those metalcore guitar riffs, and the kind of things that you expect from this kind of genre, and these kind of bands. So I think there's a lot of different unique elements in here that kind of really bring it up for me. Um, a lot of cool, like the riffs, like I said, and just like the different layers and things that they did. A couple of these songs, they have like a little bit of like in the intro, they have kind of like that kind of deserty sounding music and kind of like swells that kind of bring it into the album, and that kind of really tie things together. I thought that was really, really cool. And really kind of elevates the concept nature of the album. So I think this is probably one of the better concept albums that I've heard, and pretty recently. This did a lot better than the other one I can't remember that we did, the Trinity album. I can't.
Gloom in the corner. Gloom in the corner.
Yeah. Yes, this is a lot shorter, a lot more concise. There's not a lot of filler, but there's still enough extra instrumentation and extra like touches, like I said, like with the kind of like the deserty sounding swells and things, kind of keeping the album together and kind of keeping that theme together. So yeah, I think this band could really make it big if they have the right moves that they make. You know, uh, tour with some kind of similar bands, but I feel like maybe if they tour with some other, kind of older sounding bands, maybe like Stain the Canvas or something, maybe they could do like a tour because
Oh yeah.
I feel like it's very similar, but also very different in uh, some ways. So, yeah, I honestly really like this album.
I did forget to mention another negative. I feel like I've mostly mentioned negatives. But the last track, I feel like the last track didn't have enough of a payoff for feeling like the concept album. Like lyrically and stuff, it definitely did fit in the lore and everything. But sonically, I just think there wasn't enough of a build up in it. It was kind of more of a just a kind of a pretty sounding song. There wasn't too it didn't lead up to any big moment or big like breakdown or what do you think?
I thought it was good because at the very end there was kind of like after the song ended, there was a little bit of like a extra little, I don't know what you would call it. It's not really synth or anything. It's just kind of like some like sounds that kind of give you a little bit of like atmosphere from like the world and like the kind of the
Yeah.
story. There was a little bit of like a thing at the end. I feel like it could have been a lot longer. Yeah, they could have done a little bit more to make it feel grand, but I think they kind of tried a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, maybe even just like a solo, just something just a little bit extra. I think
Yeah.
I'm just very picky about final songs, especially on concept albums. I like the big grand feeling thing, something big in there. Especially with how well they did a lot of really nice build up in the rest of the album. So again, just another nitpick, just little small things. I still think this was great. So what would you rate this then?
Hmm. I almost was gonna give it a 9, but I'm gonna give it a really high 8. There's
Okay.
just this is definitely a lot better. I don't wanna say better than a lot of the more generic bands, but there's just a little bit more variety and a little bit more to it because it does have that concept to it. So I'm gonna give it a really high 8.
Okay. Yeah, that's I think that's definitely fair. I think because of again, I feel like giving them, a lot of props for the lore and how much they put into this and how easily they presented it as well is a huge thing. So I think with that, I think this is one of those albums because this is our initial listen. I feel like with maybe another couple listens and reading like the lore stuff, could really help elevate this more. But I'm gonna go ahead and give them a little bit of bonus props for that. So I'm going to give them that 9 out of 10. I think, again, just really well written, a lot of potential here. I think they have the potential to hit some 10s. For sure. They have that emotional track. They had that one, the Strength to Bury a Friend. That was a big song. That was a really good song. I didn't mention that in my review. I thought even the music video was really well directed. I thought that was really beautiful. The way they did that, it was really nice, right in the middle of the album. So they've got some huge potential. So I'm gonna go ahead and give them that little bump. I'm gonna give them the 9 out of 10. So 9 out of 10 for me, 8 out of 10 for Jordan. This was really well done.
I'll give it a 9. Man.
You're gonna go back. Okay.
I'm gonna give it a 9.
I talked you into it. All right.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Good. For sure. Yeah, great stuff. Definitely I'm gonna definitely try to promote this band a little bit more. I like to do that whenever I find a band that don't have enough reach and just do something really special. So definitely gonna do that. So great job. 9 out of 10 for Wise Man's Fears. Keep it up.